Now that we have our stockings made, we can go ahead and decorate them, and I'm going to be using laser cut and pre-fused applique shapes from applique Elements, which is associated with Urban Elements. And they have a whole catalog full of these applique designs. All of these have been laser cut and they're pre-fused with Steam-A-Seam 2. So all you have to do is peel the paper off the back, position it, and iron them in place. And as I said, big fans of the holidays, so there's a lot of holiday themed appliques in here. And to make it easier for me to position my design on the stocking, I went ahead and cut out just the actual applique shape from the pattern, and I'm going to get rid of that. And what I can do now is just slip this inside the stocking, and you should be able to see that through the stocking fabric, but if you can't, you could use a light box, which might help just a little bit more. There we go. Now I'm just going to keep positioning this until I have the full design inside the shape. Now I've already peeled off the paper backing on all of my shapes, and the design that I'm going to use is called Stocking Stuffer Dog. And one of the things I wanted to tell you is that the fabric that we use for our applique shapes, we also sell a great many of those in our website. So I've used a coordinating fabric for the cuff of my stocking to make sure that everything matches together. And all you have to do is peel that paper off of the back. You can see that it's tacky. That's why we like the Steam-A-Seam 2. And you can just go ahead and position that in place. And I'm going to just go ahead and start layering some of these pieces in. The nice thing, if you don't get this where you want it, you could always lift it back up and reposition it. Now all of these are, like I said, I've already peeled the paper off the back of the majority of these. So it just saved me a little bit of time. And it's always a little frustrating for me because I'm trying to do this quickly for you, but you would spend a little bit more time getting these positioned in place. And you can see that these will stay in place once you put them there, but you can also reposition them. I've got my little puppy going here with his little puppy eyes. Now one of the things I want to tell you is that because we're using Steam-A-Seam 2 as our fusible, it does require some steam when we fuse this. And I have a dry iron, so instead of having steam, what I'm going to do is use a little spritz bottle to make sure that I do have that steam component when I fuse this. And here's my little puppy paws. I have to make sure I get those in the right position. All of our pieces are cut on an industrial laser, And I've always believed that the industrial laser makes these edges super crisp, and so we have very little problem with fraying even if this gets washed. Also, it makes it so much easier for you. At this point, this particular one is all in place, so I can pull my paper out, and I'm going to grab my spritz bottle. And I'm just going to give that a quick spritz and fuse this in place. Some people are afraid to really give this a good fusing, but you cannot over fuse the Steam-A-Seam 2. It's not going to evaporate. In fact, it's more likely that you would underfuse the fusible than it is that you would overfuse it. If you get gumming on the needle, if you ever top stitch or if you're ever quilting, that gumming on the needle is an indication that you have not fused long enough. And one thing that I always like to do when I have really thick pieces or multiple layers, I like to go in from the back and fuse it again. And just like that, you have stocking stuffer dog on the stocking that you made, and it's ready to hang. Next, I'm going to pull out another one and see what next design we use. With these two stockings, they're kind of coordinated because of the cuff that I used. I'm going to be using the Santa's Little Helper, and this is the mice set. Now, this particular set comes with all three of the designs that you see here, so I've gone ahead and used those. On this one, I just have a single-sided, and I already have this one fused into place. On this one, I just wanted to show you one thing. These are called Santa's Little Helpers, and they all come with a little stocking cap, and you could use that, but they also come with optional double set of ears for each one of the three mice. So you could use this mice just as not a holiday item to decorate something, or you could go ahead and not use the second set of ears and go ahead and position the stocking on, which is what I'm going to go ahead and do since I've already decorated the others as Christmas. I might as well keep that theme going. It's nice for me to fumble while I'm live on camera, isn't it? But even with my clumsy thumbs, I can get those off. And again, I just hit it with a little bit of mist, and I'll fuse that in place. I've already fused the rest of the pieces, and on the back you can see that I have the other design. So this is our Santa Little Helpers. This particular design set comes in Santa's Little Helper mice, dogs, and cats. And again, depending on how you use these, you may have leftover components, either the optional ear or you'll have the stocking caps. And for my last one, I'll show you how I used a silk Dupioni stocking and the Snowflake design. For my final stocking, what I used was silk Dupioni. I thought this was a really beautiful, elegant example of fabric that you could use. I didn't find it any more difficult to use than regular fabric. If you were going to actually stuff the stocking during the holidays, I think I would use a stabilizer on the silk, but mine's just going to be decorative. I used the Let It Snow block for mine, but the design would not fit exactly as it was, so I cut my pattern pieces apart and just played with them a little bit until I got a design that I was happy with. And I didn't do anything different on this. I spritzed it and fused it in place just like I would regular cotton. And this one's a little bit more subtle in the shading, but I kind of think it's sophisticated and I really enjoy this one. There are all kinds of other patterns that you could use on these stockings. Here's the season's greeting in both the batik and the dots, and you can see that those are just slightly different. It's a different fabric, but the pattern's exactly the same. So we have the pattern download for the stocking itself on urbanaelements.com. You could use a wide variety of fabric from silk Dupioni, canvas, burlap. This is just regular Quilters cotton. You could do both sides or just one side. These are just single-sided. That's a batik. And here is another one of the Santa's Little Helper. So I wanted to thank you for watching, and if you make some stockings, I hope you'll share them with us on our Facebook page. And I want to thank you for spending some time with us today.